further. So again, we are on page 27. Siman Ches Siv Vav. So again, we are discussing the halachas of tzitzis and what bracha do you make? Lisa say bit tzitzis, Lisa say bad tzitzis, and then yesterday and the day before we discussed about the halacha. Again, it's over here, but it's a very important concept. Whether one person could make a bracha for another person, and again, the interesting case is if the person who is making the bracha is not fulfilling the mitzvah at that time, or he did it already, or maybe he'll do it later. Despite the Tkiyah Shofar. So again, could he make a bracha for someone else? And let's tighten that up a little more. And also, what happens if the person wants to be yotze the bracha, the second person or third person, whatever it may be, really can make the bracha themselves. They have the ability to do it. So if the person is unable, they're not a baki as we call it, to make the bracha, so certainly someone can make the bracha for them, because Kol Yisrael Reivim Zeh L'Zeh. The question would be, when those two scenarios come together, meaning that Ruvain, who's making the bracha, is not fulfilling the mitzvah now, and Shimon and Levi and Yehuda or whatever, who are being yotze with the bracha, they really can make the bracha themselves. So in that case, could Ruvain make the bracha for them? That's the question. So again, here we go. So that's what we discussed yesterday. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, good. So let's go. Oh yeah, and the very last thing we discussed yesterday, something very important, and that is this is all by brachas, like a berachas mitzvah or so on and so forth. But a bracha shechiyanu, everyone agrees that each person has to make the bracha for themselves, because each person has to give thanks. Now again, when it comes along with a kiddush or a mitzvah, that's different. But let's say we do make a shachiyanu for other people, right? When it's attached to kiddush, or but again, but here we're talking about, let's say it's a new garment or something like that. You bought a bunch of people bought new cars, or something like that. So each person has to make their own shachiyanu. Now again, in the case of a car, it might be a tova meitiv, but that's a separate issue. Now, there's one more step that we have to do, and that's the Mishnah Berurah Tesvav. So the Mechaber ended this halacha. Again, if they want, the Mechaber said, one person can make the bracha for everyone, and then the first words on page 27, V'yanu Amen. And they should answer Amen. Again, Ruvain is, whatever the scenario is, Ruvain's making a bracha for Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. And so again, let's say a case where he is being yotze the bracha, and we want Rovam Hadras Melech, so he's making the bracha. So, but they're going to be yotze with the bracha. So therefore, they should answer Amen. The Mechaber says, Amen means you're affirming, you're agreeing with the bracha, right? So the Mishnah Berurah says that after belav haki tzarach la'anos amen achar kol bracha. I think somebody brought this up yesterday. Pardon me, I don't remember whom. That even though, and I mentioned this yesterday or the day before, so you have to answer amen to any bracha. You're obligated. Tzarach la'anos amen achar kol bracha. In other words, even if you're not being yotze with a bracha, but still, whenever you hear someone making a bracha, again, assuming, like I said, person's not an apikoros, which is hard to find today, but let's say anyone who's not that, someone makes a bracha, you have to answer amen. I remember with a Rashiva on one of his shmuzim, he started telling a story. I forgot who it was. Somebody who went to someone, and I forgot who it was. Ramam Pano, I forgot who, and to learn Kviyas Diyarcha, and it sticks out of my mind because the Rashiva used Zekat Bracha didn't say stories usually in a shmuz, he said a chazal, and but he told a story, and the person went to learn by the other person, and he noticed that after a few days, the person was like kind of cold to him. So they kept on learning, but he was like his attitude was clearly cold to the other person. So when he was about to leave, the teacher, so to speak, said, "Did you notice I've been cold to you?" He said, "Yes, of course I noticed that." He said, "Let me tell you why." So he said, "Why?" So he said, "Because that day I made a bracha and you didn't answer amen. So min hashamayim, you deserved punishment. So therefore I acted to you that way as a punishment for the avera that you did in not answering amen." So I remember the Rishiva telling that story. I don't remember who the particulars were, but I remember it made an impact upon me about, the Rishiva tells a story in the middle of in a shmooze, so that's kind of impactful. So that really got the lesson across about how important it is to answer amen to a bracha. Yeah.
If you're in the middle of something, does that make a difference?
Well, yeah, it depends on what you're in the middle of. Like if you're in the middle of Shemon Esrei, in the middle of Shema.
Just something else.
Depends what the something else is. Like learning, you don't have to interrupt, or else you might be answering all the time amen. You don't have to stand up for a Talmid Chacham if you're learning. Right, this is all because of Bittul Torah. But let's say, I don't know, let's say you're flying a kite, you should answer amen. I don't know what.
Something that requires thinking or mental focus.
I don't know. And it will break your focus, you mean? I don't know then if you're obligated to. Like if you're working for somebody else, I don't know if you're obligated to, because then you're taking away from their time. That's a different issue. I'm saying in general, we hear brachas pretty often. We should remember to answer amen. Now see, that's a shtickle problem, because a lot of times when people make brachas, you don't hear them. You just barely see their lips move, and they're drinking something. So if you don't hear it, But see, that's another idea of somebody making a bracha that is somewhat audible, so that other people can answer amen. It's a mitzvah for them.
The opposite, not to obligate somebody.
Yeah, but again, so you have to use a seichel. But in most cases, people get a mitzvah for answering amen.
Does one have to hear the entire bracha to say?
Yeah, we'll get to that later. You have to at least hear the name of Hashem and know what the bracha is. Yeah, we'll get to that later. So you have to answer, even though you have to answer amen anyways. So, but still, again, refocusing in this case where you're being yotze mikol makom bezu. In this case, shrosalat seisba hachiyav yosef. The obligation is greater in this case because you're being yotze. So again, you're obligated to answer amen for any bracha you hear. But here, I don't know what type of terminology you want to use, but over here, when you're being yotze with the bracha, there's a super bigger obligation. Shemara bezeh, because you show with this by answering amen, but polo, actively, shumachavin laseisba, that you have intent or you have in mind to be yotze with this bracha by answering amen to the other person's bracha. Person's making whatever. So when I answer amen, let's say kiddush. When I answer amen, that shows I'm going to be yotze. Now again, so that leads to the question: but how if I don't answer amen? Again, okay, I'm obligated to answer. But I'm again, you can imagine if somebody is being yotze with kiddush. Ruvain's making kiddush for a bunch of people, and they answer amen. One person doesn't answer amen. Was he yotze? Or does he have to make his own kiddush? Now, again, according to what the Chavetz Chaim just said, the svar that the Chavetz Chaim just said, that you're showing by answering amen that you're being yotze with the bracha, so then it would logically makes sense that if you didn't answer amen for whatever reason, let's say the kiddush or kiyas shofar, or I don't know, whatever, where somebody's making the bracha for you, it would seem, according to this, that you would not be yotze if you didn't answer amen. The Chavetz Chaim says, mihu, however, mihu always amends what was previously said. B'di'eved afilu lo ana amen yatsa. B'di'eved, Even if you did not answer amen, you're a yotze, the Chofetz Chaim says. Now there's a Rabbi Akiva Eger. The Rabbi Akiva Eger says that if you're being motzi someone else because of arvus, in other words, I'm making a bracha for somebody else even though I'm not being yotze, right? I'm not being yotze. I'm just making it because I don't know. There's a bunch of people who don't know how to make a bracha. A bunch of people becoming from they don't know how to make a bracha. So but I'm not being yotze myself. I'm just making the bracha for them, which I'm allowed to do. We learned a couple days ago. So in that case, the Rabbi Akiva Eger holds that the person has to answer amen, and if he does not answer amen, Rabbi Akiva Eger holds that then he's not yotze. But it seems like the Mishnah Berurah is not going that way, and he holds the Mishnah Berurah holds that under whatever circumstances, under all circumstances, I should say. Even if a person did not answer amen, no matter what the case is, the person listening, again, as long as they have intent to be yotze, so then they're yotze the bracha, as long as they had that in mind. And of course, the person making the bracha had them in mind to be yotze with the bracha. Okay, let's go on to Vav. Very interesting halacha. Al talis katan yachal levarach li sa'atef on a talis katan, right? A little, what we call tzitzis, right? That we wear under our garment. Some people, of course, wear it over their garment, but our minhag is to wear under the garment. I think we discussed that before. Afal pi she'eino misasef el losho, even though you just wear it, we don't wrap ourselves in it, even though we discussed that previously. Still, Afal pi she'eino losho. Still, the Machaber says is holding. Excuse me. Al talis katan. I might skip some words. Yachal levarach li sa'atef afal pi she'eino misatef el losho. Even though you're not wrapping yourself in it, still you can make the bracha li sa'atef. Even though you are not wrapping yourself in it. So the Mishnah Berurah says, according to this, what's the pshat? That's the nusach bracha. That's the bracha that Chazal made. Okay, you're not wrapping yourself in it, but if you're wearing tzitzis, so even if you don't happen to be wrapping yourself, enveloping yourself in the tzitzis, still you can make the bracha li satef. The Ramah says, some say that no, that on a talis katan, if should make the bracha al mitzvah tzitzis, not li satef, because you're not doing an ituf on little tzitzis, so to speak. And the Ramah finishes it up by saying that that is the minhag amongst Ashkenazim. Again, I don't know about Sfardim, and you shouldn't deviate from that. So the Mishnah Berurah says that's on our talis katan, which we don't. It's not practical to wrap yourself in. But if, as we said before in Sif Gimel, you do that procedure of wrapping yourself in a talis katan, so then the Mishnah Berurah says, Yachal lechachila levarech li satef. So then lechachila you can make a li satef. You can make a li satef in lechachila if you do that. And then he says, B'di'evadim berach b'chol talis katan li satef, or berach al talis gadol al mitzvah tzitzis yatza. If you mix them up, right? If you made a li satef on a talis katan, or you made an al mitzvahs on a talis, so then you're yotze. The Chofetz Chaim says, again, you shouldn't mix them up, but b'di'evad you're yotze.
Should somebody who's not wearing talis gadol later actually go through the procedure of li satef?
Right, that's what we said before. Yeah, that was the story. I asked the Rashiv about that. Now again, I think we mentioned this before, that if you're going to wear both, in other words, like a lot of married people, so they put on the talis katan in the morning, and maybe they're doing a bunch of things, maybe they're learning or davening, saying Tehillim before, come to slichus, and there's a little while, And then after that while, after that gap, you're going to put on a talis gadol. So then you don't make a bracha on the talis katan, because you'll just be yotze both by making the bracha on the talis gadol li sa'atev. And that is the better way to go. Now the Mishnah Berurah then goes on with a sort of lengthy discussion, not lengthy, but a long discussion as far as Mishnah Berurahs go about the size. You have to be careful if you're making a bracha on the tzitzis to make sure that if it's talis katan, to make sure that it is the right size, and the hole which your neck goes through does not count. So again, you have to be careful, again, with other halachas we talked about, has to be mostly open on the sides. There was a thing I remember when I was a kid, I think they still make them. It's teeth shirt tzitzis. So I remember the first ones that came out, I remember a friend of mine got them, and they had just a little slit, it was like a t-shirt. They had a little slit and they had the tzitzis on it. So somebody saw it and said they're puzzled because it has to be mostly open. So what the guy did, was an earnest guy, but he didn't know the halacha. So he went home and he cut them open. So that's a problem because there has to be 4 corners before you put the tzitzis on. So I felt bad for the guy, like no matter what, he was trying to, and then once you open it, it's not, I don't know, it's not, he said it's not worth it. And so again, the Mishnah Berurah again emphasizes here in Osud Zion that there should be the requisite size. And first he says 3/4 of an amma in front or in back. Again, the neck does not, the open neck doesn't count. But then he comes out, it should be an amma in front and an amma in back. So again, you see different sizes. Usually they say it should be 18 inches in front, 18 inches in back. According to Chazon Ish, I do believe it's 24 inches in front and in back. So there's a lot of people try to do Chazon Ish's share because again, mitzvah tzitzis.
Is that length and width?
No, just length. Yeah, length and it says front and back. Yeah, I don't know about the
square amma in front.
yeah, it's supposed to be an amma square. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I think let's just start. We have very little time left, but so again, that's very important. So Zion, also very interesting in halacha. You're supposed to separate the tzitzis one from another. Now again, this is going to be a very interesting discussion. We'll have to do it after Yom Tov, after the Yom Kippur. But a lot of times you feel, and I mean that's I guess just the nature of tzitzis, they get tangled. Now again, it could be people wash them and then they don't take necessary precautions. But again, even without that, they just get tangled. So here the Machaber says you have to separate them. So again, we're going to have a whole discussion with Berurah Halacha. The Malbim is going to talk about this, some stuff from the Malbim. So, but in Meretz Hashem, we're going to have to wait to do that. Meretz Hashem after Yom Kippur, and Meretz Hashem after Shabbos. So in Meretz Hashem after those, Meretz Hashem on Sunday, right? Got one day. Meretz Hashem will pick up with Bli Neder with Mishnah Berurah, talking about tangled tzitzis. Okay, Ashkoch, everyone, Mincha is in 10 minutes. Everyone should have a Gemara Ksiva Tova and a very easy and inspiring meaning of full fast. Ashkoch, everyone.